Hey, SEGways! How's everyone doing? How are you all? Hello, hello. Okay, so I'm going to speed things along a little bit today, because everyone who's clicked on the video, we all know why you're here. I just want to say, is it going to be just a blanket hello to everybody rather than saying hello to individuals, because that sometimes can go on for like 3 to 5 minutes of me doing that. So, hello everyone, welcome. Glad you could be here. So today I'm going to be talking with Emma Riker from Those Meddling Mediums. Before I bring them on, I can understand. I'm just going to quickly address a couple of things. So I can fully understand that some people are going to be distrustful of mediums, and we're going to talk about that. I've already told Emma Riker that I'm going to be asking some hard questions, but I'm not here to do any kind of like real big gotcha moments or anything like that. This right here is the way I see it. Is if I'm going to be calling out mediums, exposing what I consider fake psychic mediums, if I'm going to be mocking mediums, the very least I could do is talk to them and just find out some stuff, at least from, I know like they don't represent all mediums, but at least from these specific mediums, what they actually believe, or some of like the more details about the practice, if you will. So again, I've already seen that there's some people that are not very happy with this, with me platforming Emma Riker, but I just want to kind of put out there that I genuinely believe that if I'm going to be, I need to be open-minded enough to just talk to these type of people. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so before, just quickly, thank you so much, Fantastic Publishing. Thank you, Sarah, for your 20 months. I appreciate that. And Shadow Cat, thank you very much for 1 month. Whee! Okay, so without further ado, let's introduce Em and Riker.
Hi.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
That was a lot faster than I expected. I was
Yeah,
waiting
I
for you
kind
to
of
get like
rattled that
2
one
minutes
out.
behind the chat again.
So, guys, Em and Riker here are in the lion's den. They are, I think it takes guts as someone who has done something kind of similar what they've done. We all know what I'm talking. I'm sure many of us know what we're talking about with that one. So I would like us to be nice. I really would. Like, I'm not saying you can't ask the questions you want to ask. I'm going to try and keep up with chat as best I possibly can. But first of all, we all know that I am crap when it comes to following the chat at the best of times. So it might be a little bit more tricky than usual for this one. So if you put a Q at the beginning of whatever you have to say, like, if you've got a question, put a Q at the beginning, that I could spot that a little bit easier. But first of all, Emma Riker, thank you very much for joining me.
What's up? Of course.
Glitter Flame, thank you so much for your 5 gifted memberships. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Mango, thanks very much for being a member for 9 months. We demand more stupid impressions. That's not the time. That is not the time. That's a whole can of worms. For over a year. Wow, that's crazy. Thank you very much, Douglas Scarborough Fisher. Thank you. I really appreciate that. So, again, hello to everyone that who said hello to myself in chat. Okay, so where's that? M. Riker, I suppose the very first question I've got for you two is, can you describe to me best what you see and feel when you're in, I don't know what to really call it. I'm just going to sort of say, for want of better terms, when you're channeling your powers.
Do you want to answer that first?
Sure. So a lot of people think that it's just like the Sixth Sense movie where you just see dead people walking around, and I feel like that is a huge negative stigma for mediums, because that is the reason why I didn't know that I was a medium until recently, because I wasn't seeing dead people walking around. So with mediumship, there are 6 different like senses that people will use in order to like communicate with spirit or pick up psychic information. and they are they go together with your 5 physical senses as well as the 6th sense, haha, that is just clear thoughts. So for me specifically, the way that it works is I get a lot of just clear thoughts. It can be clear feelings, which is like clear sentience, clear cognizance. Um, I also will like see things, and I can see things in front of me physically, or I can see them in my mind's eye. They'll also communicate through words or language. They'll communicate like inside my head. Sometimes I will hear it outside of my head. Um, what other ones? There's a scent. There is taste. Am I missing any? I don't think so.
No, I
That
think
is
that's it.
that is the main ways that mediums will use like their senses in order to communicate with spirit. And it is different for each person, and it is based upon the way in which you think. So the way in which you process information. So if you like have like an inner monologue where you like talk in your head, you probably have clear audience, and you are using that to communicate with spirit or pick up psychic information. Or if you have the ability to see images in your head, you might be clairvoyant and you have the ability to communicate that way, because there are certain people that don't have the ability to do either of those things, and they only think in thoughts. They can't imagine images. They can't imagine like hearing words in their head. So mediumship is based upon the way in which you think, and then learning those things and how to be able to separate your own egotistical biases versus what is being picked up through spirit. Does that make sense?
I understand it, but you talk to me all the time about this. For me, my mediumship, I sometimes get things in my mind's eye, but it's mostly kind of like physical sensations or emotions that trigger different thoughts that kind of tell me the information about it. So a lot of people kind of equate like clairsentience is what it's called, when you like feel those types of things. And some people are like, well, that's like reading body language. And what we tend to say is the difference between just reading somebody's body or language. You can maybe tell that somebody is like uncomfortable or closed off, but you might not have the exact reason as to why they're closed off. So you might be able to see your friend and be like, oh, they broke up with, like, they seem closed off. I think it's they're upset because they broke up with their boyfriend or something like that. It's not a constant, like 100% accurate thing, because there is a lot of human bias goes into it. That's why mediums get things like wrong all the time, and that's why we at least think that when it comes to mediumship, everyone is a medium. But there are a lot of people who kind of exploit some of the aspects of mediumship, that like is the kind of like grief vampires type thing that people talk about with mediums. So it's kind of like a, I don't know, it's a weird thing. I've had experiences my entire life that kind of lined up with mediumship, but I never knew that I was a medium truly until I met M. Because I thought that it was just like the TV portrayal of a medium, of like a clairvoyant Long Island medium, and I was of the belief of like, well, those people are fake. They're doing that for TV. So I was very like critical of mediums until I kind of learned more about it. And maybe you just want to call it sensitive. There's people who use that too, but I don't know what else to say about that.
Do you two charge for readings?
We do sometimes, yes.
Okay,
The readings that we do are typically surrounded, like, we'll do past life things around deities, spirit guides. We try very hard not to do like mediumship type things where we're talking to a past loved one of someone, because there's too many variables of where that person is in their grief journey. We've had people come in and ask us like to give them a reading for their brother who passed away last night, and we think we don't think that they should be coming to us for those things.
They should be talking more to a therapist.
Yeah, they need to go handle the grief properly. I don't think anyone should like automatically go to a medium. If you're experiencing any sort of issue, I think that you should see an actual like professional to
someone
like
who's licensed.
Yeah, who's actually licensed, because mediums are not.
Yeah.
And if anyone is telling you that they are as a medium, those people should be questioned.
Yeah, like I think I personally, I've always kind of said this, like, you know, mediumship is one thing, but like there's a certain section of people, and I do think it's actually probably more common than we may think, that actually become a little bit obsessed and addicted to mediums, and they do believe that it's because they're handling the grief process in such a way that they're just not able to let go, and rather than just going through that process in the healthiest way they possibly can, I do think there's like these vampires within the world of mediumship who just leech onto them and go. So not only are they going to take their money, but they kind of want to keep them like they want to make them feel happy at the end of a reading, but not fulfilled. So they keep coming back.
Yeah. And I think that's an issue.
That's one of the most evil things I think I can really think of a way to exploit someone's loved one. I think that is a huge issue. That whether whatever side of like the mediumship aisle you kind of like fall on, I think we can all agree that is a problem.
Absolutely. Mediums who jump on like true crime stories immediately and try to do readings about like recent missing kids or family members or people who are recently deceased
without their consent entirely.
Yeah, we're not big on the doing readings about like recently passed celebrities. Even I think that is a weird thing to do.
Boundaries.
We do have people, and we have given readings to people where we talk to their loved ones, but we try to have a back and forth where they understand that what we are saying can be wrong and that they still need to go see like proper help outside of just coming to mediums, because like you said, there are mediums who exploit that kind of behavior, and that is why we are also very understanding of why people don't trust mediums, because it is a really big problem in the medium community. It's why I don't watch other mediums, quite honestly.
Yeah, it's also why we created a huge like therapy resource list, because again, we cannot give you the licensed therapy for any grief thing that you're experiencing. So we usually direct people to that list to help them find those resources.
I'm going to just try and get through a couple of questions here. But I'm already 7 or 8 minutes behind the chat. From Cree Storm here. Emma Riker, do you automatically believe someone when they say they are psychic?
We think everyone has these abilities. We don't think that it's just specific people who are like, I don't know, like have been given a gift from God to do this. We think everyone can do it. We don't think we're special. So we do believe people when they say it. However, it doesn't mean that those people aren't doing like, that they're not doing something that's also kind of like sketchy on the side. Like if like, I don't know, there's like there's a whole can of worms about like, mediums that
like the stereotypical, like if you go to a medium and they're like, oh my God, you have a dark attachment and only I can get rid of it. And you have to come back for next 5 sessions and I can cleanse you with this egg and that type of stuff. That is scammy stuff. That's not.
I was on one of your live streams the other day. Can you explain some of this egg stuff?
Wait, are you talking about the jade egg stuff, or are you talking about egg stuff?
So there's like we consider it more of like the woo-woo community of spiritual, which I know there's probably a lot of people in here who would look at us and think that we are woo-woo. But there's like
one of them.
And that's we understand. We kind of are compared to debunkers.
There's a lot more woo-woo people than us.
But there's people who believe that you could get like a jade egg and like put it up your coochie and it's supposed to have some healing things. That is like crazy to me.
Or you can do like rose quartz and it's supposed to like self-love, heal your like whatever trauma that you have there. That's that. But the egg stuff that I'm talking about is like more witchcraft stuff where you take an egg and you like rub it all over your body and then you like crack it in some water and then you like read it and it like tells you if you're like gonna have cursed, a dark attachment.
Yeah.
I've never heard of an egg being used as a way of mediumship either.
It's called an egg cleanse.
Yeah.
I think it's part of like some sort of culture or something.
It's more a part of a lot of that comes from like Santeria culture, like other cultures.
Okay.
It's been twisted and kind of simplified and whitewashed, so it's not used in like the traditional way it's supposed to be used. But like we went to like a psychic in California. Em and I got the same one, but one of our friends got a different person, and she like told him that he had this like crazy dark attachment, and over like he needed to come back over 3 or 5 sessions to sit in front of this giant crystal and like do all this cleansing. And I think that's like bullshit.
To be honest with you, as crazy as that is, it's no crazier than tea leaves.
Yeah,
like tea leaves makes no fucking sense to me either. You drink tea from a cup and you look at what's down there, you go, oh, this means, you know, you're gonna marry you're gonna marry late, or you know, just trying to like bring into like real personal stuff of your future. Like that's crazy. There are questions I want to get to. So sorry guys, I'm being slow. We will get to your questions, but this is one I've always kind of wondered. A lot of the times when people sort of say, I'm a medium, it can mean you speak to dead people. It can mean that you can kind of read minds sometimes. It can mean that you read the future. It means that you understand. Like, why when I say read minds, it's like, oh, you can. Yeah, telepathy. I can't say the word. Telepathy. Thank you. Yeah. Still can't say the word. But you know what I'm trying to say. Like, I think like the what people claim, like, it just all seems to go into that same umbrella of psychic medium. But there's so many different powers, for want of a better word, that a lot of people claim that they can do. And I also don't understand, like, some people will be like, oh, I talk to the dead, and then somehow the dead have access to what is going to happen in the future as well. There's a lot of psychic mediums I hear that they claim that. They're like, oh, I'm talking to your deceased mother, and she says that this is going to happen for you. You know, the person who's getting the reading. And a lot of this like just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, when it comes to like future-based things, we get those questions a lot. And like, if we're doing like a tarot reading and like we tell you what the cards say, our whole thing is these are cards. This is an interpretation of things. It is not science. If you want to know if you're going to have a kid in 2 to 3 years, that is all up to you. We could say, yeah, you have a kid, but you have free will. When it comes to like future-based things, I don't think any of us can actually like accurately predict the future. Like you might have like premonitions and ideas, but
quite, you're playing with fire there as well when you're doing this, and you know, you're talking about someone who absolutely believes in everything you're doing and saying. And if you're saying something is going to happen in your future, subconsciously or full-on consciously, they could well alter whatever their life would have been to kind of fit to make that predestination fulfilled. And I think that can be kind of like very, you're playing with fire in a very big way. This is quite, I did warn you there was going to be some tough questions here. Jeff and Dana from Boo Production Paranormal. So just so you're aware, like they're a debunking channel. Dana actually identifies as clairvoyant, I believe. Jeff's partner, Dana, the other half of Boo Production. But Boo Production's Paranormal Toledo asks here, I've seen you two confirm Cody and Satori's gift. Do you still stand by that?
Honestly, I go back and forth. We've watched all the debunking things behind it. And I know that we totally like made a video right after and we reacted to it and we talked about what we saw as mediums. I truly like I still don't fully know. Which I know is also a very controversial opinion because I know people say that it's completely debunked, but we have people who come to us that give different kind of answers as to why it's debunked, which is why I'm kind of like, if they are fully faking it, like, is it actually just his toe? Because there's people who say he's throwing his voice. So I
still more lean that they are like actually doing it, solely because all of the debunking videos, it's always something different. Like, there's literally a video of them, like, sitting in chairs barefoot, so obviously it's not their toes, but then people are like, "Oh, well, there's probably someone like, underneath, like, on the first floor, like, hitting the ceiling with a broom or something." But we also, like, talked to other people that know Cody and Satori. Like, we went to the Shanley Hotel, and the owner of the Shanley was like, "I know people say that it's fake, I know people, like, say that, like, whatever happened, but, like, it was my hotel, like, I know what my hotel sounds like, I live here." And I literally heard footsteps run across, like, the upstairs, come down the stairs, and then run out into the room, and then say information that they should not have had. So it's kind of like, yes, they have, like, different ways that they can be debunked, but there isn't a, like, designated, "This is it. This is, like, what they're doing every single time." So I think it's still, like, muddied.
And like full transparency, we've met them once. We have not seen the method at
Yeah.
all.
We haven't seen it in person.
So like we haven't seen it for ourselves either. We've tried to see if we could figure out how to do their method.
Mhm.
We have not been able to figure it out at all. So, and we've like documented that, like, because
Yep.
we're like, okay, if it's real, can this be replicated? We have not
Mhm.
been able to replicate it. So, at least to the best of our beliefs,
Yeah.
without like doing the like other like toe
Yeah,
tapping,
we're not
any of that
trying to,
stuff.
like, fake it.
Yeah, we've tried to see if it could genuinely be done, and we haven't been able to.
Fair enough.
So-
I'm going to say, like, obviously, it goes without saying for the record, I don't believe it whatsoever. But
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying in some with your responses there as well. But I don't want to get into like a giant back and forth about Cody Satori. I don't. They hijacked a huge amount of the paranormal all of last year, so
Yeah,
for sure.
we'll move on. Santi asks, why do ghosts only seem to appear when you're alone or in the dark? If they are real, why do they never pull up in broad daylight around a group? Well, there's some accounts that they do, allegedly. I've heard people say that they've seen ghosts in daytime, and that they do appear to, like, I'll quickly say this. I know the question's for them, but I'm just going to quickly say that the one time that I believe I might have saw something when I was a kid, it was me, my brother, and my mum that all think we saw the same thing. So, I mean, that's not proof. Not saying it is. That's anecdotal, absolutely. And I've debunked myself many a times with this. I won't go into it all again. But that did happen with a group of three. So,
Yeah.
but I also understand what Sandy's saying is that usually it's like one person. Like that does seem to be the more common.
I can also say that there's the theory about doing ghost hunts at night is that there's less outside noise and interference, so that is why it happens at night, and then people like to fearmonger and make it even scarier.
Yeah, with the like,
But
at like a location, all of the lights have to, like, turning off all the lights, being in night
But
vision, like
you
none
don't
of
have
that
to be
is
alone.
needed.
Yeah,
We've had like weird things happen that like
we're together with.
we're together. Other people have been around that we couldn't explain. That's during the day.
Yeah. Like, we went to Ashmore Estates, and we were, like, setting up for a live stream, and we heard audible footsteps running towards us, so, like, physically that we thought it was one of the other, like, teammates, but they were, like, outside smoking, and we're like, "That's funny, guys, you can come out now," and then, like, about 5 minutes later, we hear the door open and all 3 of their voices, so they were clearly outside while that was happening.
Yeah, and so we still don't know, like, if you take it from a debunking standpoint, we don't know what could have caused that. But yeah.
Yeah.
Two-ply Paranormal here asks, why have you not taken the CFI, the Center for Inquiry, test to prove your abilities for $500,000?
Oh, you want me to go? Okay.
I feel like you're the one who explains it more.
Yeah, I just got a comment on one of my other videos asking why we don't do that. Well, first off, we're not necessarily interested in proving the paranormal solely because, like, that is a big responsibility, as of, like, there's people that still don't believe that, like, the earth is flat or, like, global warming is a thing. So that's why we don't, like, want to prove the paranormal exists, because, like, we're not going to make everyone believe. But we also feel, and this is, like, from our own research on this test, we feel that the test also doesn't like test mediums to the, I don't know that the test does it in the way that they fully should be testing mediumship. And the reason why I say that is the way that I perceive the test is that they ask you what you do mediumship wise. So like if you see spirits, they'll be like, okay, I'm going to put a number in this envelope and the spirit's going to read it. And then they'll like tell you how many numbers is in here, like with their fingers or whatever. So that just tells me that it's going to go through one filter, which is the spirit you're talking to. It's going to go through another filter, which is you, and it's going to go through the filter of whoever wrote it on this piece of paper. So it's just more variable. It's kind of like when you play a game of telephone, the information changes down the line. So the reason why I'm saying that is because the information doesn't have like this huge accuracy that people expect mediums to have. And that is because we have an egotistical human mind. So if you are getting it right over and over and over again, it gives you ego of, oh my God, I'm so nervous. And then you start second guessing the information that comes in, and that varies the results. So it's like, why are we testing that type of information when we can test other things? Like maybe we're testing like physiological responses to the body when you are channeling, because there's other like people like channelers or mediums where they've actually like put like things on their head and stuff and saw what happened to their brain while they're channeling, as it is different from their normal. Or we've done research in regards to like neurology. Like we have this neurologist, we found this book that talks about like astral projection, and they're specialized in forms of consciousness, and he is like doing studies on out-of-body experiences, and he can see or tell what is happening in the brain. The brain responds differently when you're having an out-of-body experience. Or like anthropology, going through different like patterns of cultures of people. There's different ways of like studying mediumship that isn't just, what information can you tell me that's accurate? Does that make sense? I know that was a lot.
I'll be perfectly honest, it doesn't really make sense to me, because it's, to me, it just sounds like, we're making a claim, but there's no way to ever verify or prove it. And I think that is where a lot of people can get a bit frustrated with this, is that there's, I can give some leniencies to this, to sort of say, if the paranormal or if supernatural claims are true, then surely by the nature of them being paranormal, even by definition, and supernatural, it's going to be very difficult to ever verify it or measure it in any kind of metric that we have for measuring data that is in the physical world. I understand that there's going to be a certain element of that which is very hard to try and document, or to gather data on, but it does get a little bit. If I can give that kind of leniency towards people who claim supernatural abilities, there also has to be a certain amount of like, well, we do need something. Like it needs to be something that we can't just say, well, it can be done, whether it be hot reading, cold reading. And I'll also just quickly say this as well. I do believe there are two types of mediums. I think I've said this before a few times in my previous live streams, or maybe even videos, that I do believe that there are mediums out there who, and I actually do think that you two probably fall into this category, that you are and I mean this with the greatest respect, but I'm just being bluntly honest right now. I think you're probably not aware that you're very intuitive, that it seems to be very high with you. I think you feed off each other quite a bit. And I think you can you kind of convince yourself to a certain extent that what you're saying is sort of true, and you may not be aware that there's certain element of perhaps cold reading. Again, I don't know, I'm not actually seeing you do your methods the way you say you do, but like that, I do believe, pretty much what I'm trying to say is, I do believe there are mediums out there that are not aware that they're doing some of the methods that illusionists and mentalists and hypnotists have shown that we're able to do this, and I think that they convince themselves that they're able to do this. And then you got the other more sinister side of the mediumship, where they know what they're doing and they study to do this, and they are there to make money off people. And I think some people start with good intentions, and then at some point down the line, they're like, "Oh, I realize what I'm doing now." And at that point, someone might just sort of go, "Well, maybe I'll stop doing this." Another will like, "Well, I'm really good at this, so I'm just going to make more money out of it." I'm convinced there's certain mediums that are very much well aware. We actually know this. There's some that have been outright proven to do this, of course. But I do believe there are a certain element of mediums that, needs that just have these sort of like natural intuitions in themselves and have sort of manifested that into a sort of form of mediumship.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that I think it's a fair criticism for sure. I do know that, especially like when Emma and I are doing things, it does look a lot like we are like playing off of each other, and there are times that we do like bounce back and forth between things. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, no, we don't do that. I guess for me, at least when it comes to all of it, I don't necessarily think that every single thing that I pick up on or do as a medium is 100% correct. I don't think that I'm this accurate God person. Truly, I just have a love for the paranormal, and I just like to document our experiences and just share that. Which I know is also, but that does bring on a lot of responsibility onto us, because we are putting ourselves out there, and we are talking about mediumship in that way. So I understand like where you're coming from for
like, and to bring it back to what Two Ply here is asking, is that I think this is where a lot of people get frustrated, is because like you have like and I understand, I also understand that your part of your argument there, Em, was just like, it's not we don't feel it's our responsibility to prove anything to anyone else. That's fine. Like if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But it's the $500,000 challenge is like, there's a huge incentive to do it, and it proves it would greatly help to prove once and for all if these superhuman abilities exist. And I think even people like me who don't believe in this stuff, we want it to exist. Like, everyone wants this to be true. Like, I want fucking Bigfoot, aliens, Loch Ness monster, ghosts, even demons, angels. If the demons are real, angels are real. We'll talk about that in a little bit later. But like mediumship, people, clairvoyancy, psychics, whatever you want to call it. I want it all to be true, but we need it. We need some sort of like actual measured, documented approach to proving some of this.
I feel like the test doesn't test mediumships in a way to like advocate for the medium, if that makes sense. Because like we explained in the beginning of this, mediumship isn't just like, it's kind of like playing charades. It's not, we're not just seeing a physical person like stand here like whispering stuff in our ears. So we might get the information of like, we're feeling a number, or sometimes they come in and do this, or sometimes they're lying to you. So that's why it's like the test is kind of skewed to not because I feel like they don't necessarily know everything about mediumship, and I feel like there needs to be more of an advocacy of understanding how mediumship works in order to be able to test it.
I also think that if we were to do it, we would need to bring a lot more mediums with us to do like a thorough test.
Yeah.
Versus just basing it on us to see kind of how it can differ between people.
If you were to do that, would you do it with people? Would you bring your like entourage of mediums, or would you be happy for them to pick out people?
I would be happy for them to pick out.
Yeah, the
mediums.
medium doesn't necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think it matters who the medium is. I don't think we need. I think that if we were the ones to pick it out, there would there would automatically be biases
Mhm.
because we believe in it. So if
Yeah.
we're going to pick up people who are closer to us, I think that it would need to be more mediums brought in from a more neutral party
Mhm.
of testing it, because at the end of the day, we are human and we do have like our own biases that would like feed into that if we were to choose it ourselves.
Yeah, because I feel like the
Right.
test is more biased to prove it wrong. So it's like you're testing the information that is the most varied. So it's like you need to figure out how to test mediumship so that it is more accurate to what is actually happening.
I understand what you're saying. I mean, to be fair, I don't run the test, so I don't know. I've spoken to Kenny Biddle, who works for CFI. He doesn't actually run the test as well. I think there's some misconceptions there. Kenny
Gotcha.
doesn't actually run the test. It all happens over in LA, I believe.
Okay.
I forget the name of the gentleman that runs the test, but there is a certain gentleman that does that. And what I understand is that they have a conversation with you guys and they set up the ground rules and you both agree on what the rules are before you take the test, before you even fly out there. Like there's an agreement kind of like, it's not all just you do this. And if you can't do it, there's all, you know what I mean? It's like you
Mhm.
say, I believe I could do this. And they say, well, if you believe you could do this, can we try this? And then if you come back to that and say, yeah, we can, but let's tweak this and let's change that, and can we do this and can we do that? And if they're cool with that, then they'll go ahead and proceed with that. So it is a mutually agreed upon experiment that is put forward. But that fantastic question, Jamie. Thanks very much for that. But we do have to move on. I'm coming up to half an hour behind the freaking chat. If we could just quick fire some of these questions. I've had a lifetime of experience, but thanks very much, Karen, by the way. But every reading I've had has been 100% wrong. Why would that be? I would just guess you're talking to crap mediums.
Honestly, there's been so many people that I've gone to who like read me and they get it completely wrong too. I think that I don't know.
I feel like it's based on who you talk to, because again, you're gonna have people that don't really vibe with your energy, so it's harder for them to understand your like human experience. I don't know if that makes sense, because it's easier for spirit to communicate something if you already understand it from like an empathetic level of like, oh, you went through like a divorce and then someone's coming in and like needs help with the divorce. The spirit can be like, oh, remember this time this happened to you? It's happening to them, so they can empathize better. So it might be the person itself that doesn't like vibe with you and your energy.
Right. Douglas Scarborough Fisher, Emma Riker, does it get to you when you see others seemingly do cold reading and not really be helping other people or helping the people?
Personally, I don't prefer like gallery readings, which is where you basically like
There's an
start.
audience.
Yeah, there's an
It's just-
audience and you're giving out specific details waiting for
and
someone to claim
claims
it.
them.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's a little bit too fishing unless you are very,
Yeah.
very, very specific. That those things, I'm like, well, that could be like anyone. So
And I feel like there are some readers that I trust more than others with how they do it. A lot of it comes down to the ethics of that individual person, because
Right.
there are some people who are doing it out of like bad intent, and there are some people who are genuinely trying to do something. I feel like it's a tricky situation.
Yeah.
I don't really have a full answer to that.
So Joe Fatali from NT7 Paranormal, hey Joe, asks here, question, I have been to a location where the history is absolutely false, yet psychic mediums claim that they pick up the false history and claim that it is factual. Are they unable to pick up the truth? So this is where it comes down to like how many psychic mediums, and this has been proven to happen, because it's a very, very easy one to catch psychics out on, where they hot read and you give fake details about location and they'll go to the location and channel into a fake backstory. I'm not sure if you know who he's an English fella, Danny Robbins. He does the Uncanny podcast. If you haven't, brilliant podcast. Everyone here, go listen to anything by Danny Robbins. He does brilliant paranormal podcasts. But he was working for I'll just quickly explain this. He worked for the BBC. He's a British fella. He wrote an article online about this abandoned chocolate factory. And he made up a whole backstory about it. He brought in, I think it was 3 or 4 psychics. Every single one of them gave information that they read on the article, and none of it was true. So, like, this seems to happen quite a lot. And like Joe, who's a big time paranormal investigator, he's been to tons and tons of places, and he's noticed the same sort of thing happen there. In my debunking videos, have seen this thing happen as well. So I think hot reading is a very big red flag, of course, in the mediumship circles. But sorry, your thoughts here.
I definitely I think that it depends on who the medium is, and because we've seen some people on like YouTube who go in and they give like all of the details of, even if it's like real history, and they're like pinpoint accurate. I like question that a little bit. I obviously can't speak for every medium, but we've been to locations where we went to Stone Mansion, where they kept trying to tell us that there was a little girl buried in the basement, and we investigated, and through mediumship, we like
did not find
we
any
felt like
little
we were
girls.
like, there's no little girl buried here. Like mediumship wise, even like the history of it seemed fishy. So
yeah,
I
also think there are studies. I know this is like maybe a completely different topic, but I know there are studies where people like create like a haunted place, and they create all of these like made up characters and made up scenarios, and maybe they don't even tell the people about it, but they write out this like full like documented fake story about this location, and people will go in it and to like investigate. They don't even need to be mediums, and they will like talk to the things that are in this house that they like made up. I know there's studies about that specifically. I haven't gone into all of the studies of that, but it is like a weird thing that also happens. So I'm not entirely sure, but mediums can pick up if something isn't fully true, and we have done that prior. But yeah,
Right. But they shouldn't. I think we should be able to agree on that. If something didn't happen, they shouldn't be able to pick. Like if it's a natural ability, if it's a supernatural ability, that is one that is you've been caught red-handed.
And I do think that if they are genuine and they are picking up on something, and then after the fact, like while they're editing a video, let's say, because there's been times where we pick up information and we're wrong. It is our responsibility to make it clear that we got this wrong. This information is not truthful.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And
we can all agree that we can be wrong about things. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you're picking up on something, and that, especially if it's something that is, I appreciate that you do that actually, because if you're picking up on something, especially that could be, quite sensitive subject matter, especially when it comes to children, or if you go to some of these like asylums, they talk about like real crazy, inhumane things that people went through, and all the rest of it. And if you can say that these things are true, and then you go back in hindsight and do research and realize you're wrong, I do agree. I think that is on. And oh god, the amount of. I'm very hesitant to bring up Amanda of all people right now, but Amanda is very, very guilty of this, where she will say some unbelievably, just outright offensive things, and just make some unbelievable false claims about murder and suicide. I'm not allowed to say that word on YouTube, but I just did, and things like that. And you're like, and it's so transparent that there's not a shred of evidence to back any of it up. And there's even police reports to say that it's not true, and she just puts that out in the world, and I find that disgusting. I really do. Again, I'm not expecting you to say anything to comment on Amanda, but she does my head in. Katie Bailey asks here, curious how the psychic ability comes through. We kind of already discussed that. I think that was my first question. We're going to try and get through these as quick as we can, guys. I'm so far behind the chat, and I know people have sent donations, so I want to make sure that I'm able to get through all your questions. If ghosts are souls that couldn't move on, why do clothes and objects turn into ghosts too? You ever seen a naked ghost? That's not a bad question. I was going to say my theory on this, if I was to let my imagination run its course, is that I believe if there is such a thing as ghosts, which there probably isn't, but if there is, they're more echoes. And I like the idea of like a visual echo, which kind of means it kind of contradicts when people say they can communicate with ghosts, because echoes are literally something reliving in a passage of time, so they don't interact with you. So when you're saying a ghost is talking to you, I think that's just cuckoo. But if you do see something, because I may have saw something when I was a kid, which I may not have or whatever, but like, I saw something, and that could be a visual echo, whether that's through a sort of multiple dimension. I kind of sound a little bit cuckoo when I say these things myself. But if I was to kind of answer that question for myself, it would be that it's an echo, and unless you are seeing someone who slipped over in the bathtub and then they crack their head whilst naked, you're probably not going to see a naked ghost.
I've never seen a naked ghost. Honestly, I don't know if I want to see a naked ghost.
Yeah, I mean, I've had other mediums to say that because they're not in a physical body anymore and they're in like a different plane of existence, like the spirit realm, that they can manifest whatever they want. So they can manifest whatever they're wearing. But there was a TikTok trend that went around where people are like, I just gotta like make sure I plan the outfit that I die in so that I can scare people when I go and haunt them. And I just think that has the same vibe.
I think anyone can connect, to their family members who have passed on. I don't think many can see spirits and talk to them. So there's a very interesting statistic. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this. This actually came from that Danny Robbins podcast that I mentioned earlier, that they've done studies into this. And apparently I'm going to butcher the number, so someone please fact check me, but it's a very, very high number. It's like 70+% of people who have had a loved one who have passed away believe within the first 2 weeks of the knowledge of their passing that they have seen them manifest in some sort of way. And I do, my skeptical brain says that this is the brain processing grief. But I understand many people in the paranormal are obviously going to see that as that's the spirit of your loved one telling you that they're okay. Now, my attitude to that has always been, I don't like saying to people, you're wrong, that's not a ghost. If that brings you comfort, I'm not the type to kind of go, now you're wrong. Like, you believe whatever helps you get through a very difficult time in your life. But like, as the only kind of like thing it's like, if someone 6 months on is still going to a medium to kind of get through that grieving process, as I mentioned earlier, that's where I have the kind of like issue. But you guys kind of said the same sort of thing here, that you believe anyone can be a medium. Like, you don't think you're particularly special with this. You think that anyone with, I don't know, who can open themselves up in that sort of way has the abilities to do what you two do. That's accurate, right?
Yeah, I think that anyone can like connect with spirit, the other side, whatever you want to call it, if you want to. And like what you were saying with that, I think that it could be just your brain experiencing grief, or it could be a sign. I think whatever feels most what brings you yourself the most comfort is what should be the like focus of that. I don't think that anyone else, I don't know. I also don't think that you need to have a medium tell you anything about your loved one. You know what they would say to you. You know those things. You don't need to go to a medium.
Still talk to them, even though they're past.
Yeah, like my grandma passed away in January of this year, and recently I had we were out in our yard and there was like a butterfly landed next to me, and my grandma loved butterflies. So I was like, oh, is this like a sign from my grandma? And then my aunt texted me a picture of my grandma with a butterfly. Could be complete coincidence, but at least in that moment, that gave me comfort that my grandma was.
And I think that's beautiful.
And I think that
yeah,
is
I think
like a good way to go about things if that's
I
what
totally
works for you.
agree. I totally agree. Vlad Tappers, thank you very much for your one gifted. Really appreciate you, mate. Thank you. And sorry about your grandmother's passing as well.
It's okay.
Condolences.
Thank you.
2 secs. Okay. Oh, Sanity's asking a lot of questions here. If ghosts can touch things, slam doors, move objects, why can't they just write a damn sentence or text someone? Well, if you believe in the paranormal puck too, they do text people. If you believe in that stuff, they can text. If you just got to spend a fortune on getting the equipment that literally says in the handbook, this doesn't prove the existence of ghosts. This is not. I guess the point you're asking is like, why can't they write anything down? All the rest of it. I mean, the only time you ever really see that is in like horror movies when someone's taking a shower and then the ghost like writes in the steam of the mirror, like, hey, you're next or something like that.
Of course.
My answer is I have yet to like actually see like spirit myself like slam a door or do anything crazy like that.
We're hoping for it, but
like we see other people claim that they're getting scratched, so we're like, okay, prove it. Like,
yeah, because I will only believe if I'm getting scratched from a spirit if I watch it appear in my arm, because I feel like all those people that get scratched just scratch themselves accidentally or run into something.
Or purposely, like I don't.
But there's also the like paranormal belief that they need a lot of energy, so I don't know. It seems like that would take a lot of energy to write a sentence, but that would be scary.
Katie Bailey here. Thank you very much for your $4.99. Very much appreciate you, Katie. Thank you very much. When you talk to the spirit, how does it come through? Is it actually talking to an individual or more like a vision or a voice? That's a very good question. Yeah. So what does it sound like? I kind of asked you that before. Like the very first question is like, what's it like? I've got to admit, I don't really understand the full answer. But when you hear the actual, I don't know, is it a voice?
It can be sometimes, and I know that there might be people who are going to say, well, that sounds like schizophrenia. Schizophrenia presents very differently because we block a lot of those types of terms from our channel because people think that they can diagnose. But I work with my therapist. I've been screened for things because I do take that seriously. And if it was just a mental thing that was like schizophrenia or something else, I would come out fully and let everyone know about that, and then that would be that. So sometimes it's like, sometimes I can hear like physical voices. Sometimes it's just kind of like mental voices that it feels different than what is actually in your head. For me, it's a lot of like individual. If I'm trying to talk to a specific spirit, it feels almost like we're having a conversation, but it's not always just using like words back and forth like this. Sometimes it's feelings, emotions. Just like if a baby starts crying, they can't verbally tell you what is wrong with them, but you can pick up that they're hungry or there's something. That's kind of like psychic information. So that's.
Well, I will say this is like, I think most parents can hear this. When your baby cries, you can tell the type of cry is if they're tired or hungry or uncomfortable. You can actually tell by the pitch and the way they're crying what is wrong, and you can normally do that. And that's when when the crying stops, you're like, okay, that was correct. Or if they need a burp, or if they need their nappy changed, or diaper, as you Americans call it. Like, so yeah, I can understand what you're saying with that. And quick, because I know, again, guys, it's just going to be one of those live streams where I'm going to be behind the chat. These aren't easy questions to answer quickly. When you see, because you do see the dead.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you see them, is it like an aura, a sort of haze? Is it a physical, like I am looking at you right now through a screen? Is it a feeling of someone there? Like, what is it?
So how it works for me, usually when I do readings, most commonly I won't see them, but I will feel their presence in a room. So if you close your eyes, you can feel like a physical person, you can feel a physical person standing in front of you. It will sound different. It will feel like there's someone standing in front of you. So that usually indicates there's someone here to talk to me. I'm going to do mediumship with them. And then I will usually get...
Sorry to interrupt. Is it that kind of, when people sort of say, I feel like someone's staring at me? Is it more that than literally seeing someone stare at you?
Sometimes
there's that. There's times where I will just see spirits walking around as if they are just like you. Like I can't tell the difference. Like I've been to restaurants. There was one time I went to a restaurant and there were a woman, a man, and they had 2 kids. And I like turned my back to them and then turned back and the man was not there anymore. So it's hard for me to tell the difference because they look exactly how they would if they were you and I. However, we usually when they are like that, they can't tell. What was that?
No chance you just got up to go to the bathroom?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. So that's a little bit like the what's his name? So you that's a little bit like what's his name? Hayden, I forget his bloody name. The Sixth Sense kid, the actor in the Sixth Sense, because he can't always tell who's real and who's not.
At times, yeah.
Right.
If someone came up to me like that, usually I can't like just hear them speaking to me. It would usually go into more like I get feelings, thoughts, images in my head from them. But just seeing them for like long periods of time would be very hard for me because my ego is like, that's weird. So it kind of like fades away.
Okay. All right. Okay. Joe, thank you so much. When Joe says blah, 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 that's like his catchphrase. Don't take that personally. Thanks very much for your 199, Joe. That's probably more aimed at me than you. Crow's in the chat. I haven't seen Crow, but I've just seen a bunch of people saying hi, Crow. How's it going, Crow? He's probably long gone. God, I am so far behind the chat. I'm like over 30 minutes behind. I've had dreams, predictions, small situations that happen in the future, but always super unimportant stuff. I did have a dream before everyone of my grandparents died, rather than my grandpa first dead. All right, okay. Okay, I'm just trying to find another question here. Here we go. Agony Goose, awesome name. Question: if you often get things wrong, do you think you might be mistaking intuition, empathy, and
inference?
Thank you, for mediumship? Which is kind of like we kind of touched on this before, didn't we?
Yeah, I feel like a bit. I think that there's definitely times where we could be mistaking it for those. Absolutely. There's in the spiritual community, people often like tie intuition to mediumship, and they tell you need to like strengthen your intuition to like practice mediumship. So yeah.
Mary Jane Jean Juice, hope you're well. Did I interrupt someone?
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay. How do you know what the test entails if you've never taken the test?
It's documented online.
I will also say a lot of this comes from the like response I did to you like a while ago. Because we had looked at the website to look into the test and everything, and how we read it, we interpreted it a specific way, which is what I said in the live, and then you and Kenny Biddle cleared that up. So that what we were saying is based on like what we read, but now we like we understand better now, so we will have to look into it again because we don't like. You're correct.
It's scientifically proven that the Earth is round and that the planet is warming. Mediumship isn't proven. That's the point of the test. That's a fair point as well, Rick. And I think that's what it comes. So my thing, and again, this isn't my way of like putting you guys on the spot. This is just how I really feel about this. I do think that there's a certain amount of again, I can understand that your position is it's not our job to to prove one way or another. We prove it to ourselves, and it's only what I feel that matters. I get that, but I do kind of feel there's a part of me very much so that it's kind of like, if you have these abilities and you think they're real, and if you have the opportunity to show the world that this is real, you could change the world, like, and it's not just you guys. I'm not putting that responsibility on you necessarily. I'm really not. That's just anyone who claims to have super. And you guys are like, I would argue that far more on the like lowest scale as far as like trying to put your shit out there or trying to ram it down people's throats that you can do this. You know what I mean? Like some of the shit that Selena Spooky Boo, Patty Negri, when he was alive, of course, Derek Acora, Sylvia, what's her name? Sylvia Brown, like all these sort of people, like, you're talking like and they will go on TV, they'll make YouTube videos, they'll say to everyone, I can do this, I can do that, and they'll claim that they've helped police solved murders, which completely untrue. They'll claim that they've done some insane things, and I'm like, if that's all true, then you people in particular, the ones who are most loud and proud about this stuff, owe it to humanity, owe it to all the billions of people in the world that, hey, there's an afterlife and I can prove it. And as a nice little bonus, you get $500,000, which you can give to a charity. You can do that. And I'm like, that's where I get a little bit frustrated with this, is that there's always an excuse with the people that are the most vocal about these claims and abilities that they have. And I'm just like, and Cody Satori is a very good example of this as well. Like, they've been asked to go on this, and it's always an excuse on why they can't go do the challenge. And like, I would argue that, because like Satori kind of mentioned this with that what's it called, Project Fear interviews, like, I don't want to, what would that do to the whole world if we could do this? The whole world would get turned upside down. I'm like, good, like that's what we need. Like, that's not a fucking bad thing. Like to change, like, science is supposed to change the world. Like, we're supposed, and like, you're aiding scientists to one of the biggest questions mankind has been asking since our brains are developed enough to be able to ask these kind of questions. Like, what happens after we die? Every person is going to fucking die. And we all, it's something we're scared about. And it's something that we're fearful of. And if you can provide some kind of information for that, anything, I do think you owe it to your fellow man to do that.
The only thing I'll say on the contrary is, because I've seen a lot of it in like response videos to us, or even other mediums that are critical of a medium, is there's other people who are like, oh, I'm a real medium, and I like, you should never like go out and put anything online, like you should fully keep it to yourself. And so there's also like another claim of people being like, hey, like, if you have these abilities, you shouldn't like make YouTube videos showing it. You shouldn't do all of this
clout,
because like, so we get called like clout chasers, or that we're like whatever, which like, obviously, like,
to be fair, that's when you know you make. I would just like, that's when you know you made it on YouTube and you get called a clout chaser, because if I had a dollar for every time I was called a clout chaser, I wouldn't need to do videos anymore.
We got called clout chasers for responding to your initial video.
That's it. I got called, yes, exactly. So Green Tone, love Green Tone. Thanks very much. I do see that you've made a donation here. I will get to that donation, mate, probably in about a year. Very nice comment here, and I totally agree with him. It takes a lot of guts to come on to Sage's channel and answer difficult questions from a bunch of skeptics. Just want to say that this kind of interaction is healthy for us all. Respect, 100% agree, Green Tone.
And I actually don't know.
I know there's going to be. I read some before the live stream started. I read some of the live chat, and people were just not happy with me at all for platforming you two. And I said there at the beginning, I'm not sure if you can still read that, maybe when the live stream over, but I was like, I disagree. I disagree with this, with this way of thinking. I'm not necessarily saying that anything that's going to be said here might like change my mind, but I do think it's healthy for me to hear the other side of who I'm criticizing. And what better way to do that is to actually literally have the opportunity to talk and ask my own questions directly to not just one, but two people that claim to have these abilities. So again, reiterating your green tone here, guys, it's very brave of you guys to do this, and I really appreciate you you coming on.
Yeah, and like I'm reading a lot of the comments, and obviously there are a lot of people who are like calling us fully fake, and I understand that. We're not necessarily coming here to prove that we're real. We're just coming to have
Start
a
a
conversation
conversation.
about it, because I think that there, regardless of our beliefs, there are a lot of things that we can agree on that need to like be handled better and changed, even when it's in regards to mediums of like their ethics practices, things like that. So
And I'm even by my standards light years behind the chat, but a lot of people I can see here are agreeing with green tone, which is great. Storm asks, would you ladies agree that being psychic mediums isn't something that you can control? It is just you. It just is, excuse me. You can try, but that doesn't mean it will always come through.
Correct. Which is why testing the information that comes out is difficult, because it's varied, because you're talking to another person, so they're going to have their interpretation of the information and they can lie to you. They're not going to just be your like dancing monkey and give you everything you want.
Understood. I get that. I love Flurio's idea. Flurio, Phantom Files, by the way. I think last time she was on the channel, I butchered her channel name. I called it Paranormal Files, which is stupid of me. That's obviously a whole different channel. It's Flurio's Phantom Files. My bad. Apologies, Flurio. Flurio's idea of being psychic
the other day. She's great. I like her channel.
Yeah, she's lovely. Being very good at a combination of intuition, empathy, body reading, language. That's I think that's a lot of what it has to do here. Sylvia Brown was horrible. She's dead now, isn't she?
I don't know who that is.
Oh, she's
Like,
a bitch.
I've heard her name. I haven't like seen her do anything, but I've heard about her.
Horrible. She was one of those ones. There's a whole bunch of different different videos of her. I think Chroma Judas actually focus a lot. You focus a lot. He focused a lot on one of his videos about like outing psychics, and it was like a lot on Sylvia Brown, and she would just kind of say, "Your child's dead. Your child's dead," and it was like, no, they weren't. They went missing and they weren't dead, and she would just like give these parents like give them false hope or completely destroy them. And she just made it up as she went along. Like, oh no, don't get me started on that horrible woman.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yep, sorry. $2 hang in there saying, I'm good. But thank you very much for your $2. I appreciate that. Ragman, thank you so much for your 20 gifted. Sorry it's taking me so long to get there. Ragman, amazing support of the channel. Thank you very much, my friends. Really appreciate that. If you got one of those 20 gifted memberships, please be sure to thank Ragman in the live chat. Thank you very much. And I saw a comment from you earlier, Ragman, that you're saying that you're unable to give more because I think YouTube cut you out at a certain level because you're very generous to a lot of people in our community. Don't have to worry about that, man. I'm just happy you're being here. Seriously, just happy for everyone to be here. If you're unable to donate in any way, no issue whatsoever. I'm just happy that there's 260 people right now in the chat. That's amazing. Okay, Rockstar818 asks, do you guys realize that the claims you make is the stuff that makes religion crumble upon proving its validity? If you can't 100% about everything you claim, why even make any claims, period? So, okay, let me just make that, because sometimes I just click on these messages and I don't actually read them. And I just see the letter Q and I just click on it. Do you guys realize that the claims you make is the stuff that makes religions crumble upon proving its validity? The trouble, I'm just going to quickly say here, I don't want to like answer the question for Emma Riker, but as an atheist, religion doesn't 100% prove anything it claims as well. So that's pot calling the kettle black, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, I grew up Mormon, where they believe that some dude dug up golden plates and like has another part of the Bible that no one else has ever been able to read. Like, so
And read it out of a hat. Yeah, you know, or whatever the hell Scientologists believe. There's like 100 religions, and like all religions can't be true. They all contradict each other. Even one strand of one faith will contradict another strand of the same faith. So there's a lot, like, to say psychics don't. Also, okay, correct me if I'm wrong here. Why would psychics contradict or make religion crumble?
I don't know. I don't
Like,
understand that.
Well, the Catholic Church believe in. I can't speak on all religions here because that's obviously a very broad subject matter. But Catholics believe in purgatory. That's why you got to get. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Catholics, but isn't that why they try and insist that you get your baby baptized? Because
It might
if you
be
don't get
because
baptized, you fall into purgatory.
it might be because I've had people tell us that we are actually talking to demons, because if you pass,
Oh,
go to heaven. So maybe that's what they're talking about. But
you guys don't. Do you guys claim to talk to demons?
we can talk to demons, sure.
I mean, I think the like concept of like what
concept of
people
a demon
think
is
a demon
different.
is like a whole other can of
Yeah.
worms that has
Yeah,
been
we
like,
can talk about that actually, because we kind of talked. I was in your live stream the other day and we were talking about that. So, I know like there's probably about a million questions to get through, but do you guys want to just tell us what your thought process or your beliefs are on demons?
I think that demons are real. I do not think that demons are what are in all of these ghost hunting locations
Sorry,
and
when
are
we say
doing all of
demons,
this
we're
stuff.
talking about the literal sense, the literal definition, the biblical definition of demons.
Yeah. I
Okay.
don't think that I think that they're real, or whether or not you I know you're not a believer in it, but I think if they are, I don't think that we're the ones that I don't think we're stumbling across them constantly or getting like
They're not like
possessed or
possessing
all
and
of this
throwing
shit.
things across the room and sending doom onto your family. We view, I don't know, we view dark entities, demons, that sort of thing, as more of like an energy that is associated to like the negative ideas of human beings. So if you're not having a good time, a lot of times people come to us and be like, can you tell me about this dark attachment I have? And a lot of times they're just going through a hard time, and whatever energy is around them, whatever dark entity is around them, is just helping them to deal with those things. They're not going to like possess them or like throw knives or something at them. That's kind of crazy. Does that happen? I don't know. People claim that it does, but I've never experienced something like that.
Yeah, demons
Robert,
are
sorry.
weird. Oh, you're fine. Go ahead.
No, I was because we haven't really talked about demons yet. So, like, you know, obviously, you said yourself, I don't believe in demons, and I do not believe in demons. But you do think that it's obviously a hugely overused word.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even just like a lot of like the concept of demons, even in like Christianity, is taken from like paganism, and it's like pagan deities being like warped and turned into demons. So they weren't bad. That was just the church's way of trying to manipulate people to convert to Christianity. So there's like a lot of like more nuanced things, but I think that anytime like in the paranormal, especially if you like go into a location and you feel scared or spooked or feel like there's something like bad around, it's just a demon. And I don't think that I don't know. We went to like Hinsdale House where they like claim that all this crazy shit happens, and we haven't like nothing happened to us. It was
I'm
fine.
not surprised that the history of that place is totally bogus.
Yeah, like nothing.
Yeah, I've heard that from a lot of people about Hinsdale, actually. Christy Wright here asks, question, do you have a hard time when a spirit asks to move on and the location will not allow it?
Sorry, I'm not fully sure how to answer that
I think
question.
what they're trying, because it took me a little while, but I think what they're saying is that if a spirit says to you guys, I want to move on, but I might be getting this wrong, Christy. I apologize if I got this wrong,
Like
because there's
crossing
very,
souls
very
or
little chance
something?
I'll read a response from you. By the time I get down there, I'll forget what this even happened. But I think what Christy is saying here, again, apologies if I'm wrong, that if the location owners are like, we want to keep this spirit inside our location because that's how we make our money, do you have a hard time, I suppose, reconciling with that if you hear a spirit? I've never heard of that being a thing. None of the ghost hunters have ever said that to me, but like
Well, in the Conjuring house, when it was still a thing, there's in the waiver that you're not allowed to cross over souls.
yeah.
But I
in
don't
that contract, yeah.
I don't think that I think that if a soul wants to move on,
You can't
I
keep them
don't
in the
see
same
how
spot.
we as physical humans would be able to force them from leaving.
But they also
Don't they? Okay,
have the
so this is
ability
the
to go
thing.
back.
I agree. I don't understand why ghosts need so many fucking rules in place that we set on them. But if you're a ghost, why can't you just re-roll like what is holding it back from your own autonomy? What's holding it back from just going where the hell you want to go, do what you want to do, spook people if you want to spook them? Like why don't you just go move to Disneyland, which is what Amanda says a lot. But like why do you need a human to, because that's what happens a lot. We need to go here and we need to set them free. You hear that a lot, don't you? So we need to set this spirit free. And it's like, what? Like, I don't get it. Why? Why do they need us to do that?
I don't think that they do.
They don't.
We've talked to spirit that has maybe they've like claimed that they're stuck and they like cross over, but it's not like we are doing anything that is like forcing them to cross over. I don't think that's what
The people that have a hard time a lot of times crossing over are people that are scared they're going to go to hell, because while they are still in the physical realm, they still have the egotistical ideas of human beings. So a lot of times they're like, I'm scared to like go see all the people I pissed off in heaven or hell or wherever they're going to choose for me to go to. So a lot of that may come up, and a lot of people think that mediums have the ability to like fully change their minds, but they are still thinking like they're still human beings even though they don't have a body. So it's confusing.
Yeah, I don't think that anyone like if any physical human beings could keep a spirit like from crossing over personally.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I don't agree any of that happening anyway. But Clara here asks question. So essentially, when you're reading someone, you're saying it can be incorrect based off the basis of the person who is doing the reading, who/what is giving you the information in the first place, which I think is a fair question.
Yeah. So if we're doing if I'm reading someone and let's say that they want me to talk to their grandfather, let's just say. Their grandfather will come in and like give me information, but he's using what's already in my head. So there's like my own ego and biases to explain it. And at least for me, I second guess a lot of what I'm actually getting because it's confusing. I'm still kind of learning about mediumship. I kind of just jumped.
Still developing.
Yeah,
as a medium.
I've only been doing this for 2 years. I got dropped into it.
Who's been doing it longer?
M has been doing it longer. I've had experiences my entire life since I was a kid, and like my mom loves to tell everyone that as a kid I was talking to my late great uncle that I never met, but I never like purposely did like mediumship or anything. I didn't really get into like mediumship fully until a few years ago.
Thank you very much. So Gab here asks, this is quite a good question. What red flag should skeptics look out for when it comes to scammer mediums? This is actually, so I should take notes on this one. What should we look out for? What's like what have you noticed is that's bullshit?
If someone tells you that you have a dark attachment or a demon, I think that's bullshit. And then if they claim that they're the only ones that can do it, if they claim that they are the only ones who have the information that you need and no one else can tell you it, only them, they're fucking with you. I think that they're scammers because
especially when they say you're gonna come back to see me and blah blah. That is definitely a red flag.
There's also a huge scam of especially if you're a creator in the medium space, people will reach out to you through like DMs and stuff and be like, I was called to your energy and I'm going to read you. You're just gonna have to pay me first. Please do not pay those people. They are not going to give you a reading. They are going to block you.
Yeah, I also think I know that there's other mediums who have the opposite opinion, but personally, I think if a medium just randomly walks up to you and claims that they have to tell you this information, that spirit is like forcing them to tell you.
Yeah, I don't like I've
that.
never had that. I've had other people say that that's happened to them though.
It's never happened to us, but I've heard other people saying that, and I think that that is like
crossing boundaries.
Yeah, I think that's crossing boundaries because
you don't know where that person is mentally.
Yeah. So while we do take like paid readings, we try to do it. We do most of it live. We do some private ones, but it's
just want to say thank you very much, Angie, for your $5. Really appreciate that. Just watching us say clapping for you two being here and taking the heat. So yeah, like reiterating, thanks very much for being here. How the hell do I say that? When there's words in there where vowels are supposed to be where they're not, I literally have no idea.
Seriously, Ari.
Yeah. I'm too dyslexic for that. If someone is looking into tapping into their medium side, how should they go about learning / practicing? Also, how are your chinchillas?
The chinchillas are good.
I have 5 chinchillas. I have a chinchilla channel.
Yeah.
You have a chinchilla channel? Okay.
Yeah.
It's not
little ones, right?
They're like the softest animal in the world. They're kind of like a big mouth-looking thing.
I'm gonna have to Google what chinchilla is, what breed that
They're
is.
very cute.
Very cute. They're very soft.
Yeah, they're just right over there for us.
Yeah.
Okay, this is how ignorant I am. I thought they were a fucking dog.
No, they're rodent. They're like a big mouse.
Dog breed.
No. It might be like
they're cute though.
People say chinchilla is a gray color or whatever, but
are they a good pet? Because when I was a kid, I had a hamster and it was a terrible pet.
It's better than a hamster. Hamsters are a little bit evil.
Yeah, they bite you, and all they want to do is escape. All our hamster wanted to do, she was alive for 2 years, and all she wanted to do every minute of every day was figure out a way to escape.
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, what a miserable life. So I was like, that's it, I'm not getting another hamster. I've heard rats are really good pets.
Yeah, they're very they like attention. I don't know, they're very social. That's the word I'm looking for.
And are chinchillas like that?
Not in the same way. They are more so looking for social with the same species, but you can make them like being held and things like that. But
they're very cute.
They're very cute.
Why? So sorry if I'm really not answering the full questions here. I just got more distracted with the chinchilla part of that. Why are all paranormal entities from the past? Why does no one ever see a dude from the 80s with a baseball cap? Well, that is still the past, but yeah, it's almost like a lot of the paranormal entities are from like within a year or two, or from quite a while. At least, okay, that's not necessarily true in America, though. It is something to be the case in the UK, where a lot of the ghosts in the UK are from like quite a while ago.
Yeah, I would say they have like paranormal pictures of people that aren't in the like aged clothing, so I'm not really sure. I see people both they have age closing versus not. That's like one way of describing them, is like the time period of what their clothes look like.
I think
You never
that
see you never see cavemen ghosts, though, do you?
I have never tried to talk to one. No.
That'd be interesting. Or unless that's what comes through in the spirit box, like all the time. That's why there's so many grunts and nothing makes sense.
honestly,
Probably.
actually, I think that's a good theory. I think that's
We'll go with that. Green Tide, thank you so much for your $49.99, my friend. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Questions. I'll let Seg ask the hard questions, but I'm curious to ask about what your experience has been with this community since Seg's original video on you. Honest answer, you clearly came into the lion's den, so there's some trust. That's a very good question, Green Tone. Green Tone always comes up with great questions.
We actually reached out to Seg about this because he came into one of our streams on our channel the other night, and we were talking about the demon and angel thing.
We were talking about fear mongering in the paranormal.
Yeah, but honestly, we've talked about it a bit. It very positively changed our opinion about debunkers. Because it really checked our biases of we were mediums and we were more of the like ghost hunter, paranormal investigator, whatever you want to call it. And we were like, we've been too much in this echo chamber and listening to them, like other people talk negatively about debunkers, and being able to have a back and forth with you really made it so we could understand debunkers better, and it
helped keep both sides in check.
Yeah,
so the debunkers help keep the paranormal investigators in check of being like, this is how it could possibly happen, but the paranormal investigators need to do the same. It needs to be a balance. So there's like a line of like, if you're being like too toxic and like not going into like debunking of a situation. So like having the interaction with Seg, it was interesting because we were like, oh, you're like receptive to this? That's not what we were expecting.
Yeah. So, and I mean, there's people from your community who still come by our streams sometimes and hang out. Some of our community, and we try to come and hang out with yours. So
yeah, and
obviously there's a big like disagreement that the communities probably have over like the afterlife, spirits, mediumship. But I think that it was really good that we were able to kind of like bridge a gap to have a conversation about it.
And I think there may well be some so like no community is going to be sweet and innocent over the other. There are going to be like things on our side which we can improve on. There's going to be things on like the believer side of the paranormal that I think they can improve on. I think that there has to be a yin and yang to a lot of this. And I can understand that maybe some of the jokes I tell can be like, others will find offensive and all the rest of it. But like, there is some paranormal stuff out there that I find really offensive and really annoys me. So it kind of goes both ways to that extent.
Yeah.
But when things like this can happen, I just see it as a positive. And I think it's good that people who can disagree with each other can have adult conversations and just talk to each other without it descending into a screaming match.
Yeah, and I don't know. We've talked about how over the last, really since like Cody and Satori happened, because when that happened, that is right when we started our channel Meddling Mediums, like right around the same time. So I kind of came into things right as they were kind of hot. But that is where I kind of learned about the debunking community. So we try very hard to, at least when it comes to when we're doing our paranormal things, to make sure that we're debunking a lot clearer, that we're not like, we don't use like the flashlights anymore because we've learned. So we try to take what we hear from the debunkers and what they think that investigators should be doing better, and we try to apply it as much as we can to ours, because it's
gonna make the content better in and of itself.
Which I appreciate you guys doing very much. That's awesome to hear. Again, thank you very much, Green Time, for that $50 again as well. Thank you. I really appreciate it, mate. Want to drop a torch down the pit? Thank you very much for your $10. Thank you so much. there is just no science that has ever confirmed this under any controlled test. That's a fact, which, you know, that is a fact.
No, and you are correct.
Thank you very much for the $10. Oh, wait, there's a question here from Alexandra. Many of your reaction videos include you seeing and describing ghosts on video of other channels. Do you stand by having these abilities? They seem to minimize you, but seem to be minimized by you today. So you do less of them today.
Yeah, and honestly, we do them. We don't do them anymore because we just don't enjoy doing them. Honestly,
we still think that we can see ghosts through a screen because of a lot of reasons. First off, like you're still videotaping, so there's still the probability of like being able to see things through the screen in of itself if they are physically there. But at the same time, they are non-physical beings that we still have the ability to connect with because they don't have to stay in the physical space of wherever they are at. They can, I don't know, they can connect to us because they are non-physical. Why would they have to stay in a physical location? But we get that critique a lot.
Yeah, but we don't do them anymore. One of the last 1 or 2 times that we did it, we also ended up watching videos where as mediums we were like, there is nothing paranormal happening and this entire thing seems completely fake. So it also, we are not debunkers.
Tell us who. Give us the channel. You don't have to.
I'll tell you after who it is. I'll tell you after.
Okay.
But
it was interesting.
But
we covered them before. That's
they've been covered in other people's channels before.
It happened.
I already know exactly who you're talking about.
So
it could be any of them though.
Yeah. So, and we don't consider ourselves debunkers by nature. So we were like, we are gonna like kind of stop doing that. We don't enjoy it, and
it's also, if you're gonna cover one of our videos, don't cover one of our reaction videos. Cover like our investigations. That's what I feel like our channel is more like focused towards. So we wanted our videos to more represent us as a brand. So
that's fair enough. The reason I did it is I already did one other channel doing the same sort of thing, and that went down well. So I wanted to, and but that is a fair point to judge you on your investigations. I think that's fair. Thoughts on the Warrens? Well, that is a loaded question.
So, full disclosure, I have never watched any of the Conjuring movies.
I have.
I've watched.
Oh, they're good. The first two are really good.
But so everything that I've watched and learned, they just seem like horrible fucking people, and it seems like they've just done a lot more harm than good. And I don't think that they were really trying to do a whole lot of good, to be honest.
They have a lot of biases in religious fear-mongering things, which makes sense because I think Ed was a demonologist that was like trained by the Catholic Church, so they very much specifically focused on the demonic aspects of things.
I'm not sure he might be. I'm not sure if he was.
I've done a lot of
theories
videos
about how close their ties were with the church, and I've actually talked about this with Kenny Biddle, and he disagrees with me on some of these things about what their relationship was like. I think it was a bit of. I personally was a bit of a yin yang there, but I don't know if he was trained by the Catholic Church in demonology.
Kenny Biddle says he was not trained by the church.
That's interesting.
Okay. He's like, so you're 30 minutes into the future. Where I'm at right now.
But yeah, when it comes to the Warrens, I honestly, the information that I have learned has just been from the debunkers on it, and so I share the same belief as
there's a lot, like, ignoring the claims that they make. There's just a lot of shady shit about them as people.
Yeah, they're a little bit problematic, but at the same time, they are the people that like put the paranormal more in the mainstream. So that is
you can't deny that. Their repertoire of cases that they faked under their belts is insane. And yeah, you're right. Like, I don't like the Warrens. Those first 2 Conjuring House movies are good. Like, they're good movies. Like, Hollywood never
Corey-
ceases to amaze me on how much they flatter their casting of like ridiculously attractive people.
Yeah,
for
we went
real-life
to
roles.
the Conjuring house, and I believe it was Corey. He mentioned that the Warrens supposedly like they filmed all of their like cases or whatever, so they technically filmed the seance, I guess, at the Conjuring house, but because they like got bought out by whatever production company they were using, like the Warner Brothers have that video and they won't release it to the public.
Which I think is
Nah,
sketch.
I do too.
probably bullshit, because that happened from when the Warrens were in there, which I believe was in the 1970s, to when Warner Brothers had any rights towards, like, you know, any kind of IP of the Warrens. You're talking like a couple of decades, like three or four decades.
Yeah.
So I don't think I've ever seen, again, maybe Kenny can correct me here, is there any footage of the Warrens at the Conjuring house? Is there any documentation? I know, I'm not saying they weren't there. I'm just saying, like, have we got them interviewing the parents? Have we got them doing any kind of seances there? Any exorcisms there? Any spirit box sessions or whatever? Like, is there anything about? Because like I've heard, because the second movie was they include the I forget the little girl's name, but the little girl off the Enfield house when she was being possessed by the ghost there, and she was like, "Hello, my name's Bill," and it's like, you know, that's actually a good impression. That's exactly how it sounded. But it's like, yeah, it's like I don't know, like 12, 13-year-old girl, and like, you know, she's like all of a sudden talking like this, and she's like, "This is my house, and get the fuck out of my house." And it was all like a bit. But they included that footage in the end of that movie, but there's nothing like that for the Conjuring house movie.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
That Ed claimed that they filmed, but there's no known footage. So
because nothing fucking happened. So the only thing that I know is true there, and like, you know, they even say this when you go to the Conjuring house, is I forget the name of the husband and father, his first name, but he punched Ed in the face and threw him out.
Yeah.
So that much we do know is actually true. And Ed got punched a couple of times, I think. Like he was not a nice man.
I mean, I feel like what if you're gonna be doing stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, supposedly the story is that he would like paint people's houses and then like go up to them and be like, "Do you want to buy this? And also, is your house haunted?" So I mean,
his famous quote is whenever someone's going to write a book about any of the stories, he just said to the author, "Just make it scary." I don't care, just make it scary. Bry here asks, question: do you believe there is a way for normal people to tap into mediumship? Do you believe it's your that you're born with? We kind of answered that already.
Yeah,
and they do believe that.
Yeah, we think anyone can tap into it. Maybe like there's people who are more like in tune to it from when they're born, but I don't know.
You might be more naturally gifted in it. Might be easier.
Crow Judas, I haven't read this message yet. First of all, thank you very much for the $5, my friend, and I already know this is going to be a ridiculous question. I wanted to ask the mediums what they prefer on their hot dogs. I told you. Yes, I'm curious about if they like mayonnaise on hot dogs, asking for a friend.
You're gonna hate this answer. We both absolutely hate hot dogs, and we don't like mayo either.
I do appreciate everybody like listing their preferred toppings.
Oh yeah, I was watching
that. Was like,
with a hot dog, I like that German. Is it Bratwurst type of sausage? That's some good shit right there. But a regular ass hot dog, like you get in a baseball game or whatever, nah, not for me.
Yeah, we're not.
It's all just assholes and snouts and lips, and it's all the kind of like cuts of the meat you really don't want to be eating. Yeah. But Crow here loves hot dog and mayo. That's his thing. Mark the Sarcastic Law Student, thank you very much for your 4 months. Hey Seg, Low Man Mediums, and everyone, thanks for being here, mate. It's my opinion that most mediums and tarot card readers read body language, have lots of empathy, and are more sensitive, have have and ask for confirmation from the person they read and use basic phrases. Yeah, I think I kind of mentioned that earlier. I reiterated that, earlier. Some pretty crazy theoretical claims have been proven in the past in the field of science. My point is to have an open mind, but also balance it with skepticism and not be fooled by false evidence. Couldn't agree more. Reality investigations. Thanks very much for being here.
Yeah, we agree.
I mean, there's some crazy shit where you see, is it quantum physics? There's some crazy stuff like that doesn't make a lick of sense.
Yeah, that's
and
actually
science was like, no, just scratching the surface of some of that stuff. So
that is actually where I've been doing a lot of research lately. I've been actually trying to research the scientific, like any like science behind mediumship, and reading more case studies and things because I think it's interesting. So
I mean, I personally can't help but think that that's not going to prove ghosts, but I would love to be wrong on that one.
well, all of it is just theoretical. None of it has actually proven anything, but it is still a very like fascinating read for sure.
The dancing monkey comment the lady just made can be said about the spirits as well, I believe. Seg, hey, guess. Thank you very much. Rebecca K. What would you do? So, would you do the brainwave test? I don't know what that is. I know they have used brainwave monitors while mediums are doing their thing and had some interesting results.
I think it'd be cool, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that necessarily prove? Like, I'm in my head, we're talking about strapping something onto your head, and there's a monitor there, and it literally goes through the brain waves, if you will, like what's going on up there. But what does that mean? Like, you could say, oh, there's some activities going on here, and maybe you could even argue this is irregular activity. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what that
might be
actually...
able to see what parts of your brain are being activated and to see like what is actually happening.
Yeah.
So if mediums can tap into a part of the brain that most other people don't. So would the waves signify that? Is that what it does?
I feel like that's where you would have to test a whole bunch of people to see if the same thing, like the same patterns happened over and over again. And then based upon like what information is coming out, how does that look in the brain? And then neurologists or whatever could like study that information.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. I think being a medium is like being good at certain sports. Some people are born with the skills and make them a pro baseball player, but most people can learn to throw a ball and play. Okay, that's an interesting analogy. I wish I could believe this stuff. I really do. I do paranormal investigation regularly and have found no evidence, but I'm really not sure what evidence. Well, I actually agree, mate. I've done a fair few of these ghost hunts now, and I've not found anything. Some weird stuff has happened, but my threshold is very, very high.
Mm-hmm.
And some weird stuff's happened, and like, you know, there's some things I can't even explain. I'll be honest with you. There's some bangs and some noises I can't explain. The only explanation I got is that, hey, it's a bang and a noise. Like, it could be 100 other things. Just because I don't know doesn't mean it's ghosts. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But it's still interesting when it happens. But like, you know, for me, for as far as like, you know, proof of an afterlife of a ghost, I need to see it again as an adult. Preferably capture it on camera. God, they're so shy of cameras, aren't they?
Yeah, I was so pissed. The footsteps we were talking about earlier, that was the one time that we weren't filming, and I was so pissed off.
That we were setting up cameras.
Yeah, we were setting everything up, and it happened, and I was pissed off about it.
Can I just say, Jessica, I appreciate the joke. You don't have to say you're taking the piss. I think it's quite funny. Can I just sort of say here, I've got one rule when it comes to, like, you know, whether it be collaborating with someone, interviewing someone, all the rest of it, I've got to get along with them. So twin paranormal are out of the fucking question. Like, people have like said to me, okay, I'm sorry to keep bringing her up, but I've had so many people ask me if I would reach out to Mackie and Amanda to do an investigation with them, and I literally couldn't think of anything a worse way to spend an evening. Like, there is no fucking way. I mean, first of all, there's no. I'm under no freaking illusions here. There's no way they'd ever even respond to the email. But so I know it's reciprocated on their part, but I couldn't think of anything worse. I've got to get along with the people I'm talking. That's it. That's it. Doesn't matter how much I disagree with them, how much I think they're fake, how much I think they're this or that. I just got to get along with it. That's it. That's literally it. So fuck Twin Paranormal.
Also, I've seen people talking about, like, would we do investigations with debunkers or anything? And we totally would. We would be open to that.
Cool. Next time
There's been people who have like claimed that we wouldn't do that, but we would totally bring a debunker. And I think that it would actually be really fucking cool. So.
Oh, believe me, like every time I go through, people then will start blaming me that nothing happens. That's the blame I get.
Half of the time we go there and like go places and nothing really happens, honestly.
Shadow Mice, thank you very much for your one gifted membership. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Reality Investigation, sorry it's taken me so long to get here, guys. Thank you very much for your $2. Mayo does not belong on hot dogs. Prove me wrong. I'm not proving a damn thing, man. I'm with you on that one. That's Crow's job.
To pay
Crow's
$2 for that one.
Yeah, Crow, you're on your own here. Let me see. You'll want to go on an investigation. So 2-ply paranormal. I'm not sure where. I want to say somewhere in the South because you've got a very Southern accent, Southern American accent.
Yeah, we don't.
But you know, he's a debunking paranormal content creator, and he goes to locations.
Yeah, we would be down to whoever wanted to do. Yeah, we're down with that.
Reach out, Instagram.
I think that during the response, I made it clear we wouldn't collab with Mackie and Amanda again, but we will collab with a debunker. So,
wait, one at a time, guys. We're getting there. Ragman, thank you so much for your 4 months. Only been 4 months, seems like longer. I don't know how to take that. But thanks very much, Ragman. Raven, thanks very much for your 8 months. Almost a seg baby. Oh, that's weird. Don't say that again. Let's see. Okay, am I slow? I don't know what it is. I can't get beyond 30 minutes. I'm always perpetually 30 minutes behind the chat. Sorry again, everyone, for this. But Reality Investigations, thank you so much for $5. Would you accept an open invitation to join 2-ply investigation? I feel like that would be a great collab and a good opportunity. We just answered that, but thank you so much for your $5. Reality Investigations. So yeah, I guess you two can just like, have you got your contact details? Easy to find you guys.
Yeah, those Meddling mediums at Gmail, or you can reach out via Instagram DMs, any of that.
All of our socials are those Meddling mediums.
Yeah.
If a spirit haunts the place they passed away in, why do people think they are in cemeteries? Who died in the cemetery? This is a great point. I talk about this often, and I will get into a giant fucking rant if I go on about it. So you by all means, you two can answer this one before I rant about it.
I don't think people just stay in the place in which they die. They can move freely. Again, they are non-physical, so I don't know why they would just stay in the house that they died in. A lot of times you find those people there because they like lived there, so they go back there. But like they still have the ability to move freely. So like maybe they go to the cemetery because that is where their loved ones will also meet them there. So it's they're not just stuck in one spot.
See, my thing that annoys me is like it's quite literally that the law, LORE, law of ghosts, changes depending on whoever wants the ghost to stay in their property, whoever is literally going to make the dime off the ghost. So it will be because there's some places that have cemetery on their property. But the Clown Motel is a good example of this. I was there. Next video I'm going to be uploading is my investigation at the Clown Motel. What a dump! But they got a cemetery right next to it. It's not part of their property, but it's literally next door to the property, and they run with this like crazy. Oh, all the ghosts of there come wandering, and it's haunted, and all the rest of it, just because it's a cemetery. And I'm like, okay. So that's why it's, but anyone else will say, well, no, the ghosts are where they died on some, and someone died on our property, so we're going to promote that. Other people will say, oh, but a traumatic event happened here, and that energy has brought the spirit to our place. Like Al Capone is saying to haunt about fucking 50 places across America. Like these famous historical figures are like, they claim or they boast that they're because something happened in their extremely controversial life. So of course they're going to have lots of crazy things that happen. It literally doesn't make any sense on the law of ghosts and where they haunt. And as M said there, is like, why can't they just get up and leave? Why are they imprisoned, for want of a better term, within these four walls? Or the four walls of the actual house or building or structure itself. Why can't they just, like I say, fuck off to Disneyland? Why can't they just go somewhere objectively fun?
Right.
I mean, Disneyland is haunted, Seg.
That I know. Believe me. I hate bringing up Disney.
Yeah, I think it also comes into an issue.
Ruined Disney for me.
I think it also comes into an issue of like the growing trend of paranormal locations popping up that are just kind of like make up things. Like I watched your last video that you did, which it's hilarious, but a lot of it is also like capitalism and like we're like trying to just like get the money. So it's like the more souls we claim we have here, the more people will want to come to our place because it seems more legit. But I feel like there's been more places that we've gone where it's like, here's all of these crazy souls that are here, and we go there and it's quiet, and we're like, well, we make a video still, but that is why a lot of our videos, our investigations are somewhat boring because nothing happens.
I'll join the club. Like all my ghost hunting videos do worse. That's some of like the lowest views I got because I think ultimately people get a bit bored of just watching a guy going, "Is anybody here?" over and over and over again. I have most random theory on what the thoughts. When you die, you enter you enter neither. There's no heaven nor hell. You compete to be born. When you see God, you're actually seeing the doctor, and I think there's an end to that. So are we kind of going into a little bit? I can't see a second. Oh, when you come back, you see God, and when you're pushed into the new vessel by another spirit's renewing. So is this a little bit like a what's the word I'm looking for? Reincarnation. Are we talking about a reincarnation kind of theory here? Which I got to admit, I quite like the idea of reincarnation. My whole thing with reincarnation, I've never quite understood. On a Buddhist level, anyway, is the idea with from what I understand. I'm sorry if I butchered this. Literally, no Buddhists watch my channel, but if there are any Buddhists, the idea I thought of Buddhism is that you are supposed to kind of, when you pass away, you kind of like learn all the shit you got from the mistakes and all the rest you make, and you kind of do a bit better the next go, and you kind of just keep leveling up. But like my thing that annoys me about that is like, why can't we remember anything we did in our past life? Like that would surely help us be better if we fucked up a whole bunch of times. Like, let's just say in your past life, you were a great person, but you just couldn't stop shoplifting. Like you were a shoplifter, so you just had to keep and then you kind of die, and then I don't know, some sort of deity goes, well, you did well, but you should have done all that shoplifting, dickhead. Give it another go, and you don't remember how you fucked up. Like
Well,
that's how you can never finish a video game that way. You got to remember how you fucked up so you can get on to the next part of the video game.
but would that
Like you learn from your
infringe on
mistakes.
free will?
But it's
If
still
you-
your free. You can still choose to not do all those things. But
Yeah, that's
like
fair.
it's like just literally having the memory of what you did right or wrong from your past life in order to go forward and be a better person. That's the bit I don't quite get. I mean, no, I don't get any of it. What am I talking about? This is what I do. I just think of weird things all the time. Foxfire, thank you so much for your $20. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Foxfire. Question: if you see more than one spirit in a room, do you see and know from another one? Of one another, excuse me.
Sometimes,
Does that
yeah.
make sense? Can you tell the difference between different spirits?
I can, yeah.
Mhm.
They usually are still very like distinct people. And each of them tend to like talk a different way or have a different Grim Reaper. Sorry, I also have ADHD, so
Me too. That's probably why I'm clicking on. Oh, Jay Cart's here. Hey, Jay Carts. So actually, it's funny enough, actually, because I'm not very good at rewatching my videos, because I hate the sound of my own voice. But I did watch Jay Cart. Jay Cart recently did. It was like there's like Mackie and Amanda do a video that those
we
many
react to
mediums
it.
reacted to,
That you
and
did.
then I reacted to those many mediums, and then Jay Cart reacts to my. So Jay Cart is reacting to my reaction of those many mediums reaction. And YouTube just becomes a weird vortex at that point.
It gave me a little bit of a headache, I won't lie, I think.
Inception.
But very, very good video. And I've got to ask this. And I'm sorry I'm going to put you in a difficult position. I think you did kind of answer this, Riker, in your video response to me. But I've got to ask it again all the same. The bit in that video that makes the least sense to me is the two of you are saying that there is a spirit on the sofa and Amanda doesn't see it. And then at one point, and I forgot about this, she sits on the sofa and asks the spirit to sit on the sofa with her. And it's like, and the thing is that you two can see the same thing, but Amanda can't. Now, I know you probably don't want to talk about this, and I know I'm probably putting you in a difficult position, but will you say now once for all that Amanda's fake?
Oh, that's where we're going.
I thought you were going to ask about the actual couch thing.
Like, we get that a lot, but not the ladder.
No. You don't have to say that. But do you understand how that?
No.
I'm sure your answer will be medium see things differently and all see different things. And that again is something that a lot of people struggle, because in my mind, it's like if you can see people who are dead, you should all be able to see the same thing.
That goes it gets filtered through your own biases. So a lot of times the reason why people don't just see like dead people walking around is because that like challenges your brain in a way that like, I don't know, is confusing for you. So a lot of times you'll see something and then it'll just immediately go away because then you become like more aware to it and your ego flushes it away of like, that's scary, I don't want to see that. So when mediums see and feel different things is because of like how their specific mediumship works is different than ours. So they may not see things, they may feel things, and feeling things might be more vague for them. The thing that we're seeing might also be more relating to us and have like a different energy that is more similar to us. So it is more comfortable for us to talk to. Or it can be they are like uncomfortable with what the person is saying that was sitting on the couch. So like the thing that was on the couch was more of a lower energy and Amanda is more of a high vibe energy. So she's gonna block those things that scare her out.
Different frequencies. Like you're tuned in different frequencies. So she's gonna see things a bit differently to what you two see. Would that be fair?
So like the lower level things are gonna scare her so that she's gonna block those out with her mind. Like egotistically, she doesn't want to see them because they're scary.
Can I ask, because you've brought up this word ego quite a bit, and I wonder like if I feel like your definition for that might be a bit different to mine. So what do you mean by ego? Like
So-
you said a few times, like your ego gets in the way of you, or it's a big influence. Like you're saying, oh, I might be going down this certain path, and my ego might be leading me there. I've heard you kind of mention the word. I think it's an interesting word that you're using. I just wondered if you can elaborate a little bit more on what you mean by ego in terms in the context of mediumship.
Yeah, so ego is a word that people use a lot in mediumship. Ego is basically like your own biases that filters information. So when you get things, it's kind of like that little voice in your head that overthinks it, and that kind of misconstrues the information, which is why I'm saying when you get mediumship information, a lot of times it's not accurate because your brain will second guess it and be like, no, this isn't real, this isn't real, this isn't real. So that is the thing that kind of blocks those things out. So a lot of us are like taught, you shouldn't see dead people walking around. That's not really happening. So now you have a biases that says that's not really happening. So even if you're like seeing glimpses of it, oh no, you didn't. That's not really happening. Your brain is just kind of like dismissing those things and just focusing on the things that your biases is like dictating. That is the egotistical mind.
Okay. All right. I understand. All right. There's a good question here. I want to preface it that I don't like using the term mental issues for this, but I'm just going. Oh, sorry. Before I actually do that, I'm going to check that question from Carl. But just quickly, from a different one from Carl here. Excuse me. Billions of souls have passed. Just prove the one exists. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. But another one here from Carl. I think it's an interesting question. I'm just going to try and frame it a bit different on my end. How do you know you were talking to spirits rather than having mental issues? Now, I don't necessarily I like to change mental issues just to it's in your head. I think that's a fair way of saying it, because I've often sort of thought that is like when I'll just quickly preface this in a certain way on my end, although I just love the name Andrew Taint. That is making me laugh. So a lot of the criticisms that I get is that I'm too close-minded. And I can actually take that one on the chin. Yeah, maybe you have to be a bit open to this stuff to believe it. Again, if there is such a thing as the paranormal supernatural, I can understand that it won't work like the rest of science, because the rest of science is, whether you believe it or not, this shit is true. You don't have to believe in gravity for gravity to be true. However, I can understand that doesn't necessarily, that law of physics doesn't necessarily ring true of the paranormal. So I'll take that on board. However, when people come to me and say I'm too close-minded to, for instance, even for ghosts to happen, my response to that is if two things. One is most people who claim to go into a haunted house will say they didn't know it was haunted and then it just happened. So if they're not looking for haunted stuff and haunted stuff finds them, why does it happen to them and it doesn't happen for someone who is looking for haunted shit, just doesn't believe it? The belief system or mindset doesn't quite add up to me if you look at some of the more famous paranormal cases out there. But the second one is if we're going to say that, if I can admit that it's true that me being kind of close-minded to ghosts, it may not invite much paranormal activity to me, could we also make the same argument that if you are really seeking it and you think everything is a ghost, of course you're going to interpret everything as supernatural, which is so if you're too open-minded, your brains fall out, kind of thing. And if you're as close, so I guess the kind of way to preface it that is how do you know? But that's not me accusing you of that. That's just me generally speaking.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
How do you know that when you're talking to spirits that it isn't in your own head?
For me, the information that I get is not something that, it's not how I normally would think, or it's not my own train of thought. And I personally, I'm in therapy. I work very close with a mental health specialist. She knows about all of this. I've been screened for different things. I know that I do have I am autistic. I am ADHD, and I also just recently got diagnosed with OCD. So I have a lot of like mental things as well that I am fully like aware of, but the information I get mediumship does not feel the same as those types of thoughts that I've been able to identify and work with a like licensed therapist.
Yeah, like so for example, the difference between mental health issues versus just getting mediumship information is there's usually a level of fear that goes into when it is associated to like anxiety, OCD, whatever it is. You usually get the thought of, oh no, something bad's going to happen, and then you fixate on that. Mediumship information is just, oh, like passively just happening, like something bad's going to happen today, and you're like, where did that come from? What's going on? But you don't take it as a fear-based thing. You're like, what is happening? So it's kind of like this passive voice that happens. And the more you start listening and developing it, the more it becomes something you more so listen to it. Because a lot of people do pick up psychic information constantly, but because they have been trained to like second guess and overthink, they stop listening to that gut feeling or that intuition, and instead they listen to the fear thoughts instead.
Okay. Andrew Taint here asks, can you walk into a house and tell if it's haunted instantly? So if like if there is a place that is in fact haunted, do you just get that straight away?
I mean, I feel like most places technically are like haunted, but I don't know that they're experiencing like poltergeisty, like things flying across the room or like noises or apparitions or things like that. But
I guess there's different levels of haunting, isn't there?
yeah.
If there is in fact haunting. Katie Bailey, thank you so much for your $5. Just from my own experience, I'm curious, do you guys have really vivid dreams that you remember?
Yes, for me all the time.
No, not really.
She like never really dreams.
Dreaming is harder for me.
I'm with you. I never remember my dreams. I know I'm dreaming. I just don't remember them.
Right.
I have crazy dreams that are weird. So
visual information is kind of hard for me.
Crow Judas again. This is going to be about hot dogs. Well, I know. Well, I now know who is going to be on my debunking video. What about vegan hot dogs?
I'm not personally a fan of vegan hot dogs. I've tried them. I'm not a fan personally.
Do they taste like hot dogs?
No. I think I would actually rather eat an actual hot dog than a vegan hot dog, honestly.
So are you guys vegan?
No.
Yeah, so I don't know why you're asking that, Crow. I was thinking,
we're not
vegan. I missed that. From Kenny Biddle, formal tests are judged against the odds of chance, meaning are results better than same/less than anyone would get by chance alone. Okay.
You're still very behind.
I know. Sting, thank you very much for your $5. Debunkers should be real paranormal investigators as best friends. In my experience, the ones that have got nothing to hide like me. I don't know, like tolerates, let's say. But like they're okay with me anyway. So yeah, like I can only speak on my experience there. But you're right, Sting. Like the ones that get, in my opinion, hey, even ones that I've kind of like said, I think this is fake. They've actually come back to me and sort of said, we think you're wrong, but like, we appreciate what you're doing, kind of thing. The ones that get really, really angry with me, I don't know. That to me is a little bit more of a red flag, in my opinion. Ghost theory. Question: will SEG and those meddling mediums do an investigation in the future? If I get back to America, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, we'd be down. Absolutely.
Next time back in America, I would be happy to.
Yeah, hit us up.
God, I've had so many people now, and I wish to God I could, to ask me to go to Steve's House of the Dead. I've had so many people ask me.
So you know what's actually funny? I was watching that, and I had the idea about us booking it and bringing you, anyways.
Yeah, this. I don't want to go into this. I don't want. Steve might be watching this. Steve, if you're watching this, I'm never going to go. Fuck you. Fucking coward. Brendan, thanks so much for your $2. Would you be willing to give Seg a tarot card reading? We actually talked about this earlier.
Brendan,
And
go away.
no, we're not going to do that because it's boring as fuck for you guys to go through.
Brendan
Really,
is from our community.
We know Brendan.
What was that, sorry?
We know Brendan. He's from our community.
Oh, okay, cool. I've had someone give me a tarot card reading a while back, like a year or two, about a year ago, actually, on my channel. It was actually one Annalise, who's one of my lovely moderators, but it would be probably 4 a.m. for her right now, so she's not going to be awake. But she gave me a tarot card reading. I'll be honest, it was kind of weird. Like, there was some weird stuff in that she came back with. But what I did also notice is, because it goes on for quite a while, everyone drops off, and it gets... and this isn't about... And I'm not just saying this to Brendan, just in general. This isn't about, like, you know, testing out things or anything like that. I'm not trying to give a gotcha moment or anything like that. It's just, I just literally want to have a conversation and ask questions that, I don't know. I think a lot of people, often we just don't get straight answers for. How do I say that name? Brian Jolf? That's, I'm presuming you two believe in the Bible. Have you ever watched Satan's Guide to the Bible? There's a lot of good information there. Do you two, like, where do you stand religiously, if you're happy to talk about that?
I was raised Mormon, but I just consider myself more spiritual. I'm not really a religious person.
Yeah. I was raised Catholic, but same thing.
So for me, like, when it comes to like things like the Bible and everything, nothing against it, but I view it as like human interpretation of things. So I don't necessarily take a lot of the stories from the Bible, even like Greek mythology, things like that, as like, this is actual
value.
Like, this thing actually happened factually, because I think that it's folklore.
It's an interpretation.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So do you know what the Satan's Guide to the Bible is? Have you heard of that?
no, never heard of that.
No, me neither. That's interesting, though. So NT7 Joe Vitale, he has a YouTube channel. He does. I've been in investigations with him as well. A few actually. They can at some point join Dawn and I on an investigation. So you have another invitation there.
What's up?
And Kenny asked if you're close to Buffalo, New York.
Somewhat, yes.
It's
So that's where
practical.
he and the CFI headquarters on the East Coast are based.
Yep.
In
We are on
Buffalo.
the East Coast, so
Yeah.
it's easier for us to do East Coast things.
Yeah, we don't tell people exactly where we live just because people can be weird.
Yeah.
Good idea. Jessica, question. Seg is always behind the chat because he genuinely cares about his people and tries to read all the comments. Such a sweet fella. Thanks, Jessica. I do try my best. Just remember, next time everyone keeps saying having to go at me and laughing at me behind the chat, it's because I care, you motherfuckers. Let's see. Okay, Carl, another one here. How do you know what you're seeing is a spirit? And why can't you show any proof? I guess because spirits are invisible would be a big one.
I feel like we've talked about that.
Yeah. Oh, why can't anyone show a good photo of Bigfoot? I'd love Bigfoot to be real. Here's a question for you two. If you could just tomorrow, like show the absolute undeniable evidence of anything within this paranormal sphere, what would it be? Like, if you could prove, not just to everyone, but to yourselves, what would you like to say undeniable proof?
Undeniable.
Oh
proof.
God.
I know. Let's just pretend that exists.
I think I would have to get like pulled out of a chair and like levitate or some shit.
Yeah.
I don't mean like so is ghosts. I don't necessarily mean like an example of something. I just mean like what strand of the paranormal.
Oh,
so
well,
like, would it be aliens? Would it be Bigfoot? Would it be ghosts? Would it be demons? Would it be I don't know,
Demons.
what do we want?
time travel? Would it be, or not time travel? What's the word? Time loops, I think they're called, or something like that. Like what would you like to? Or no, the time travelers would be part of that. There's a lot of people that believe they're time travelers.
Yeah. honestly, like demons, because I think it'd be cool to
Sell
see
your
like how like it does in the movies where they like physically manifest like fully. Yeah, I think that like if I could prove that, I think that would be like the whole horns type shit.
Hell would be spending eternity with Seg arguing about Indiana Jones. Have you two seen Indiana Jones?
No.
Okay, we
No.
can't talk about that then. Just so you know, Kenny's so fucking wrong about Indiana Jones. It blows my mind. I'm doing grateful, Seg. All right, okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so let me see, because we're way over the 2 hour mark, but I'm still like 25 minutes behind the chat, so we'll just go on a little bit longer. If you guys are okay with that, is that
Yeah,
okay
no,
with you?
we're chilling.
So I will just keep going until I find another question. Do you think that with as little as we know about the human brain, it could be true psychics may exist because there are more than certain parts of the brain than others? We were kind of like touching on that a little bit with the whole brainwave thing, weren't we?
Yeah, I mean, could it be like maybe, but I don't know. That's I'm digging into a lot of like scientific
type of
things.
stuff.
And obviously it's more like theories. It's not like hard science, but what I've been like researching has been interesting. So
Foxfire, thank you for another $20. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Foxfire. Do spirits see each other? What if they are from different time periods? Can they communicate with each other? That's a good question. I don't know. Can they talk to each other? Do they interact? Do they? If they don't, good God, that's lonely.
I believe that they do, even if they are from different time periods. Like the last one that we went to was the Shanley. There's like a little girl who they claim to have passed away near the property. Her name is Rosie, and there's other people who like are also up in the same area as her, and they
Rosie used to live in the section of the hotel
that's now
with her family.
And then it became the bordello.
And then they moved out. She passed away, and it turned into a bordello. And the two women of the night protect her and talk to her and stuff like that. So they're from different time periods, but they still interact.
Cool. What's the Angel of Death? What's that about?
Ask them, what is the Angel of Death?
I mean,
We saw her and felt her.
I'm sure. I would imagine if you felt the Angel of Death, you'd be dead, right?
The Angel of Death is a girl? Is it her? A she, her? Usually, because in, I don't know, religious things, the Angel of Death is usually masculine. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if
like the Grim Reaper.
Would it be one of those things they could take whatever form they want, kind of thing? Would it be that kind of thing?
Yeah,
I guess.
Like surely, because they can't reproduce, so surely they are. Let's not go down that road. Do you both believe in the balance of nature?
I guess.
What do you mean by balance of
Yeah,
nature?
I've got to admit that's a very vague question. I think we've all got to. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Because there isn't always a balance, is there? Because if there was a balance, things like wouldn't go extinct. Things usually go extinct because there's an imbalance.
Yeah, I think we need to take better care of nature.
Yeah, we got to take care of the planet, but I don't know. Like that's why some places are. Oh, I don't know. I don't even really understand that question, to be honest with you. Before going like giving that too much thought. But yeah, if you could like maybe clarify that, Sandy, I appreciate that. Thank you, and hopefully I'll read the question. I'm getting there, go guys. I'm 10 minutes behind the chat now. Does everyone that died turn into ghosts? If we have souls, like wouldn't every place on Earth be haunted, or do some step into the light?
We believe that spirit
That's all
can
good, Carl.
choose to come interact with you, if they're in heaven or whatever you believe in, that they can choose to go back and forth. They're not just stuck personally. But yeah, I don't know.
Low ego. Here we go. When I see my dad in my dreams, is it really him? Is it really him trying to say something?
I feel like that's tricky to like say like
Yeah, that is
absolutely
definitely a tricky one to answer.
because it could be your subconscious trying to tell you things about your dad and maybe your relationship to him. I'm not a dream interpreter, so
I mean, my sort of attitude to that, I'm sorry if this sounds like a bit of a cop out, but again, if it's one of those things that brings you comfort and happiness, then yes, like, yes, it is. Like, you know, and that's, yeah, like, you can interpret that however you wish.
mhm.
Question: do you two go out on investigations, or would you go on a location with Seg? We
Yes and
answered that
yes.
earlier. Yes, I think we'd be cool with that. I mean, like, I live in Australia, so it ain't gonna happen anytime soon. But if I'm in the UK sometime, then excuse me, USA at some point, then yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to go back to the USA at some point. All the best, Kenny. I know he's long gone like that. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm like 3 minutes behind the chat. How did that happen? I probably missed like a million messages. Sorry to everyone's messages I've missed. But we've been very, very chatty this live stream. Riker and M, how does all the skeptics that seem to come at you affect you mentally? It's a good question. It can't be easy to have so many judging you on what you do. That's a fair question.
When it comes to like the mediumship things on its own, I don't have any issue. I understand where the skepticism and the like disbelief is coming from.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a little hypocritical of me to just write it off and be like, no, fuck them.
Yeah.
Truly the thing that only ever like bothers me is like the comments that are a step too far, kind of what I talked about in the response, but that is also just has to do with my own insecurities as a person. So it's not necessarily like I don't blame like fully like you said, or like another debunker or like critic or even Jake Hart's, like I don't blame them for that.
It comes with the territory of
Yeah.
claiming the medium title. You have a lot of people that are critical of it, so it's just
and much like I will say, obviously in a very different way, but like, you know, when I decided to, like, no one put a gun to my head and stop me to do a YouTube channel debunking things. I did this knowing full well that there's going to be a lot of people that don't like what I do and don't like what I stand for, and you and to an extent will come as well if you're going to like give yourself a title of ghost hunter or medium or whatever it might be. Like, if you got to own it,
Yeah,
good and bad. And you guys very much do that, and like I do appreciate that you can take you can take a lot of the criticisms and just actually answer it without escalating the situation, if you will. Like, you just sort of like take. Yeah, I can appreciate that.
I also think that like skepticism or even like criticism of the content, like of content and the quality of it or whatever, I think that all it does is push us to be better creators. So it's just pushed us to improve how we do investigations, how we talk about things, because we realized that we were leaving out a lot of the debunking things we were doing. We were including those in videos. And so now we do that. We put all of our investigation, it's for members, so we don't like spam the feed, but all of the raw investigation, fully everything uncut, unfiltered, we make available. So that way, if there's any part of anything that needs to be looked at or like scrutinized, it's already available. Because I think that I don't know, I think that it's our duty to do that, and it's just pushed us to be better. So
fantastic. I am at the bottom of the chat.
Wow.
And I will take whatever thank you. I'll take that condescending round of applause. I will take it. So we'll answer a couple more questions. We'll probably end things at the 2.5 hour mark. Nuggets here says, can you see and interact with ghost animals?
We've seen cats before, like ghost cat type things, but
Cats are very easy for us because we're used to seeing them, so they get past the like fear of seeing things.
So we have 3 cats, so
Yeah.
we have a lot of animals. It's kind of a problem, but
It's fine.
that's a whole other
It's
thing.
fine.
So if I'm understanding you, it's okay to go after the mediumship aspect of you, but the personal attacks are uncalled for. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, and if we're going to be putting things out, especially like in the paranormal, I think that it's valid for people to, question us.
Yeah. Question: has the negativity ever made you want to stop being public about your abilities?
The reason why we share them and share our experience is it creates a belonging and a like sense of community for people. So it allows people to talk about things that are happening in their life. It also allows them to see like representation of who we are as people and what we represent. And it just helps create more of this like sense of belonging in the world. So it is something that's very important to us, even if we are criticized by those that don't understand.
Yeah, we try to have a community that is able to have discussions kind of like this and be like skeptical, but still a lot of people in our community are believers in things, but we like to have kind of open conversations about everything, and there are a lot of different belief systems in our community, and I think that it's more so just about really like community and talking with each other. So
I absolutely agree. Can a spirit die? Do they run out of energy? And if so, what do you think happens when they do?
Personally, I don't think spirits can die. It is the like that one physics law of nothing can be created nor destroyed. It can only transfer energy. So they might be able to transfer into something else, but they don't think that they can fully be
Do you think
removed.
that energy will exist
Mhm.
evermore, kind of thing?
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
still up in the air. I don't know.
Lincoln asks, what was the most creepy experience you had that could not be explained?
Probably either the Ashmore Estates one that we talked about prior, or we were at
Footsteps?
Yeah.
the footsteps,
Yeah.
and then my very first investigation was at Brushy Mountain.
I've been there twice now.
We were down in the hole, and we audibly heard what sounded like there could have been a moan that we couldn't figure out what the cause was. And then when we were leaving it, there were 3 of us walking out, but you could hear on the camera a 4th set of footsteps, and there was no one else back there. But again, I don't know if that was just like the camera audio being weird and it echoing with our footsteps or something like that. But
I've got to share like 2 things that happened with Brushy. One, the first time I went there, and it was actually the first time I ever done any paranormal investigation. I was there with Dawson and Joe Fatale and Nightmare Nation, and it was the funniest thing. And this is why I wanted to go on investigations, because I used to always take the piss out of ghost hunters when they go, "Oh, we heard something, but our cameras are switched off," and I'd be like, "Oh, of course the cameras are switched off." Literally, the first thing that happened when we were walking to outside the courtyard where like the gallows are to film our intros, and Dawson and I heard like a weird coughing noise, and no cameras were on. And I was like, "Fuck." Like, it does happen.
We try to have it going all the time, but there's at some point it has to stop and you have to restart the camera.
Yeah. So we've started trying to record constantly if we're able to, but our
it's always
cameras have a
hit the
30-minute
record
limit.
button on. And also, I haven't gone back to review the footage yet, because I've still got so many other ghost hunting videos to get through. But at one point in the hole, actually, I did the whole like I was slapping that floor like it was my daddy, and I was like slap 1, 2, 3, and then I couldn't really hear it, but Dawson swears down that he heard 3 taps back. So I've got to review the footage. I think he's talking bollocks, but I've got to review the footage because I didn't hear a damn thing. But it is a creep. I love Brushy Mountain.
I do think it's funny that we both have.
They're not very nice, but it was a great location.
Yeah, I think it's funny that both of our first locations like that were kind of brushy. I think that's funny.
Jessica said, not a question, Emarika, but thanks for being willing to talk to our snarky beloved Seg. We appreciate it, whether bleeds or not. Gracias. Thank you very much for Jessica. And yes, I agree. Thank you. And I will just ask one more question. This will be the guys. This is gonna be the last one from CAG of Adelaide Haunted Horizons. I'm not sure if you two are aware of Adelaide Haunted Horizons, but I can't stand them. But after this, guys, we'll end it after this one. CAG is asking, ladies, how have you been on so long with Seg? Does he drive you as mad as he does me? Lol.
I think we're gonna have to cancel our membership and unsubscribe now. Honestly.
Yeah, that's your fault, CAG. Thanks.
And now we're gonna have to do another reaction video to this and start all over again.
All over again. It's all gonna kick off. M. Riker, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me and answer my questions and from that of the chat. I very much appreciate it. I do think it's not easy going into the Lion's Den and doing this, and I think it shows a lot of character on your part, so I very much appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this.
Me too. I really did, actually. So everyone who joined us here in the chat, thank you so much for being here. Thanks so much for participating. Thank you all for your questions. Sorry if I didn't get round to answering. I probably only answered about 10 to 20% of them. But thank you so much for just taking part, being here, and for the most part, really just being really cool. I didn't see too many real nasty, horrible comments. I'm not sure if you two did. I don't know if my mods have been on top of it or anything like that, but from what I've seen, everything seemed to go pretty cool. So I thank you very much for being cool, guys. And thank you to everyone who's donated. Thank you so much for your support. Really, really appreciate that. And with all of that being said, guys, we're going to end it here. So thanks very much. Cheerio.
Bye.
Bye.